Hey guys, we're here with the one and only Steven, who just finished first place at the North American Remote Duel YCS with Exosister. Super impressive, obviously, and also even more impressive because there were a lot of big names at this event. So yeah, how are you liking the deck for the format?
Feels really good. I think it's one of the better decks of the format. A lot of people I think had this weird conception about this deck. That was like some bad like anti-graveyard deck. And the issue was it just came out at a bad time. Like it came out in Pote when spraying tier things, and it's obviously worse than those decks because those decks are insane. And then it was worse than Cash because Cash is also insane. But now that our power level is kind of back at a more normal point, this deck is good. And the anti-graveyard thing I think is kind of looked at in a weird way where it's the same thing as Vicious in Dragon Link where if you're not playing against a graveyard deck, that's fine. You just have they're part of your engine. They do their engine thing. It's just when they play against a graveyard deck, then you're getting supercharged. So it's more of that benefit of playing against graveyard decks as opposed to like it's only good versus that.
Awesome. Well, I
Um,
mean, I'm super proud of you being a fellow Canadian, a fellow Ontarian at that. And so yeah, I mean, you've been destroying events lately. But yeah, I guess we'll get right to the deck list.
yeah. So this list, so standard or should be standard Exorcist lineup. Three Martha. It's always the best one. This card by itself isn't like a circular. It's not like five interruptions or anything. It's only one by itself. If you play with any other name, then you start playing more. But the best thing about this is even the summon effect. It's that this is the only one that triggers if either player moves a card from the extra deck or from the graveyard. So what happens a lot of times is you get hand trapped, and then you'll use your Michaelis to banish whatever hand trap they had from the grave, and this will trigger to get free XP upgrade like that. And the other names are 3 Ellis, so this is just the standard extender. Draw it just summons itself with an extra on the board, and then it's the one you summon off Martha. 2 Stella summons one from your hand. 2 Sophia, this is the one that draws one to control another one. This comes up a lot because a lot of times if you already open Martha, this is the monster you'll be searching. And then you just get a +1 like that, which is nice. And then one Irene, this is the bad one. You have to shuffle one back to draw, but it's you need it for the names. And Engine's just good. If you open any of these 8, so Martha, Elise, or Stella, plus any other name, so now you can open the bad ones. That's going second. That is game. As long as they have a card in the graveyard. So a lot of people think this deck has, the control deck has problems pushing for game. It's like nope, 2-card combo is 8K, which people don't expect. And the fact that they don't expect it also rewards you because that means you can have people play slower, play for follow up, and then they just get punished. And then the other tech card or the other engine is 3 Tama and 2 Second Tama. I was playing 2 of this because in theory this is bad in the sense that if it gets hand trapped, you can't use your extra cards. But you have enough ways of obeying hand traps in the form of Martha and Pax, or if it gets hand trapped, you just hard draw. This is fine. So it's 8 other cards that help you play through hand traps on this. And this card by itself is full combo, so it's Magnifica with any spell or trap. And then going second, this is also 8K as long as your opponent has a card in the grave. So just this card is the highest value card in the deck over Martha. So I just max out on it. I do side at 1 out going second a lot because you do have a lot of normal summons, but I think playing greedy cards for going first is fine, and you want consistency. And then other tech cards, so 3 Ash, and then 2 Shifter. 2 Shifter seems weird, but I really like this for this event. The last 2 events, I played 3 Shifters, and it felt awful in the sense that there were a lot of games I drew 2. And the problem is Shifter isn't as auto-win as it was in Tier format because Tier played no tech cards. So they had to use their engine to make a rank 4 or do whatever, and it was just so inefficient. So you got so far ahead an advantage. If you drew the second Shifter, it didn't matter. But now when decks have tech cards and they're able to stop you without using engine, all it's doing is the turn skip back to your turn if you're going second, which is really good, of course. But if you're drawing 2 of them, then you're essentially going first with 4 cards in hand, which isn't that great. The engine's not strong enough that you can afford to draw dead cards and win. So I just decided to play 2. If I draw it, cool. I'm not going to dead draw the second one, or I shouldn't be drawing it. Draw the second one much. And if not, if I don't draw it, then I just draw my other tech cards instead. So I really do stand by two Shifter in this deck, specifically because you're playing a value game. You cannot afford to dead draw multiple of them. Spell cards, 3 packs. This is the best spell card in the deck because it lets you search anything. So if you're in a state where you need to play slow or you need a set back row in order to play the game, you can grab this. And then of course this can also just grab Martha. And this also lets you push because if you add a monster, if the other monster listed on it's in the grave, you can special summon it. So a lot of times I will just search this, set it. If they have like a back row removal, you just chain it, you still search. If they go to touch their grave, you chain to search and summon, or if it's not being used at all, then it's just follow up. So the flexibility of it's really nice. And then just setting as kind of hiding in your back row, sometimes you still have the diversity, which is really nice and forces people to do weird stuff. Three pot, you play a lot of breakers, so you never slide these out because you always want to slide into the breakers. And then two Dark Ruler, two Book of Moon. Format's diverse. I didn't want to play three of these because then you play against bad matchups and you draw multiples of them that just feels bad. So I think two is fine, just because I want a diversity of tech cards because the format's pretty diverse. And then other things, one Duster, similar reason as that. Duster's a good card. Double Returnia, then one Vatis. Vatis is one that summons two from the deck. Second one I was playing other tourneys. It didn't really ever come up the second one, so one was fine. And then Returnia is the reason this deck's good because your first interaction is always a trap interaction. So now when you're playing against Cash, you have Magnifica, Returnia, and you just let them play a bit. Nothing's threatening Magnifica. If they go battle phase, then you can interact with them. Or they make XYZ, then you can interact with them. But the main thing is now they've used two bodies. You've banished those two bodies because they're probably ranking up into something, and their talents and thrusts are still dead. So I think people have this weird idea that this deck loses the talents to us. This deck is super good versus it because your first interaction is a trap banished. Your second interaction is Magnifica tagging out into Michaelis in defense position. So now after you've already burned two cards on their board when they're trying to make a stronger push to clear your monster, all you have left is you still have one banish, but your monster's in defensive position. So it's not like a Rystar where they can just talents take it and then swing and make Zeus. It was summoned this turn. So the last talents, all it's doing is straying with the last negate. So talents just feels awful versus this deck. And the number of times where people have those cards in their hand dead versus me is and they just show me at the end of the game is really high. It's one of the main benefits of this deck. Three goes a match because this card's crazy. The game is slow enough where you can set these. Even against Runic, I think it was in top 16, I set four after he made most of his board. He didn't have care up, which is the main thing, and then just didn't stand my phase, and then I was winning after that. And then three in perm because Imper's also good. You want some more hand traps. So that's a main deck 41. I think the third Aratama maybe can be cut, but I think it was fine because you can side out when you don't want it anyways. Consistency is good for a game. Extra deck, three Michaelis, the search spell, a trap, and then the quick effect banish turn summon. Again, this triggers Martha, which is the big thing. So a lot of times when you go affect a search, they have to interact with it, and then you just banish something. So you either remove Polymath Body or you trigger Martha to get the rank up in any ways. So just it's really good plussing. Double Magnifica, main boss monster is obviously really good. Non-targeting banish, which is nice because then they can't interact with it in weird ways. And then the fact that tag out, again, you summon the monster in defense position, so tags out into another banish. Tags out into another banish, and then this is summon this turn. So again, if they talents take it, they can't make Zeus off of it. And then this card can attack twice, so obviously pushes the damage really well. And then just the other sisters, so double cast Hotel, this is just a monster, prevents cards from something from grave. That fact doesn't come up much other than like Runic Live Twin. But this monster is obviously good. So feel this is the Dweller. Effective bounce of monster. Again, doesn't come out much, but both of them are situational. And then double Jabreen. This one increases all your monsters' attack by 800 for the turn, so it's good for pushing. As well as the turn summoned, it's effect failure. So if your opponent has to touch the grave and you're getting like multiple bodies off, this is kind of one you make a lot. Just as that over the top win condition. And then when I have Prosperity, I keep all these. I keep all Exosister cards and the one Jabreen's out, and then I banish the rest of them because all you need in this deck is Engine. The engine's strong enough. But the other cards are one Donner. You do not play the Sky Striker Link. You need this just to clear Kaijus. You already have answers to Floodgates in the form of Pacts into Returnia, so you just want to clear Kaijus more than anything. One Buska, one Exoton, and then two Zeus. The two Zeus doesn't... I very rarely make this. I just play two because usually when you make the first one, you can make the second one over top of it with enough materials. But those cards come out seldomly. Exoton, the Zeus is cool, but most of the time they're just banished away off Prosperity. And then side deck, double Bell for Labyrinth, and then other decks is good against. I don't side this in versus Runic. The main benefit of this deck is how good this is versus Runic, because, I mean, if they go to draw, all your guys trigger, and also the way that their deck trades into your engine is just horrible. Like, if you're going second and you answer the main engine, you answer the sprite cards with a Dark Ruler, Martha just eats the only two cards that do anything versus your deck, which, like, Freezing Curses and a Flashing Fire. Those are the only two cards that do anything, and Martha puts two bodies on board already. So how effectively it just trades into Runic cards is really good. You don't need to side more for it. Third Dark Ruler just answer whatever board, sprite boards. Three Dark Hole, you play this over Geki because you need no monsters to use your cards. Double Lightning Storm, again, just more more removal. I think blowouts are better than hand traps right now because everyone's on thrust and talents, and your engine doesn't play into it. Why would your tech cards play into it? Double Cosmic just for whatever. I only side this in versus Runic again because again you don't care about the engine. It's just for Labyrinth or other weird decks. And then double Necro Valley. Dragons is a bad matchup for this deck, which seems weird because like they move from the graveyard. But Levy, Chaos Levy on the follow up is just you have no good answer for that. Also, their bodies are too big, so you can't really like it's so easy for them to summon monsters that pressure your XYZs. So I just need some side for specifically for Dragon, especially with it picking up in Steam. So I just played Necro Valley. I didn't see this at all, but it's there for a specific match other than 3 Judgment just to stop blowout cards. And then before we go, I can show the combo for the game shot. So this is either with Aratama by itself as 8K, or if you have like ways of putting 2 bodies on board, like Stella plus Sophia or Elise plus Sophia. Either or is fine. So it's Aratama, normal summon. You search the Second Tama summon itself, and then you make Caspitel. So you search a monster. You grab Martha, of course. Martha effect to summon. You get the Elise, and then you overlay for Michaelis. Michaelis effect detach the Elise, and you add packs. So you've already normal summoned, but because Elise is in the grave, you're going to add Martha off this, and you can summon it since Martha mentions Elise. And then you use Michaelis effect to banish from the grave. So the only restriction on this OTK combo is you need to have something in the grave. So it's not always doable through Shifter, but other than that, it's fine, especially when you're playing blowouts. You can clear their board a lot like that, or if they use all the negates, you still clear their board doing this. You can just play after that. So Michaelis banish card from the grave, card move, Martha will upgrade. You can go into Jabrine or Sophia. If Sophia's a bounce, you can bounce another monster on their board, and then you just make the Magnifica, which is another banish. If you don't need to banish anything, then this is 56 because it attacks twice, and then 25. So this is game. On board, just all from just Aratama, and which really takes people off guard because they want to play a slower game thinking you're controlled deck. But the fact that you have game shot is really important because it doesn't allow people to use flop they may have held.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the profile and the combo, Steven. Really, really big congrats again. Any last shoutouts?
Shout out to the Cancel Urbina and Hamilton guys for all their testing and support and all that good stuff.
Awesome. Go Canada. All right. Well, thank you again. Take care.